Hi witches, thank you guys so much for joining me today. I want to start off today's video by saying a super huge thank you and also welcome to Nania, who joined my Patreon this week. So thank you so much for your support. I very much appreciate it. It helps me do all of this stuff. I also really want to give a big shout out to Kamade, Darian, and Kaya for being patrons for a whole 13 months. I thought it'd be fun to like shout out my patrons when we hit 13 months, just because it's like a little bit spooky. And thank you guys so much for supporting me for like over a whole year. Like, that is so incredible to me, and I am very much eternally grateful for that, because again, you guys are like helping me live the life of my dreams. So thank you so much, like truly. But on another note, today we are going to be talking about a very fun topic, something that I've been doing a lot of research on because it's pertaining a lot to my life. But today we are going to talk all about hand fasting. This is very common of a topic to be talking about, especially around the festival of Bealtaine, and I really wish I'd talked about it a little bit before, but you know, the day afterwards, I think we can let it slide a little bit, right? Now, Bealtaine is very much associated with marriage, and I think I even talked about like a lot of pagans choose to get handfasted on Bealtaine because of its associations with fertility and love and young love and all of that stuff. And I am no different. The countdown is officially on. I am getting married on May 1st of 2023. So I am in full wedding planning mode now. It's like very much becoming real. Prior to that, I'm like, oh, I got all this time. And now I'm like, oh no, I have less than a year. So I've been definitely focusing a lot of energy learning about handfasting and kind of the processes that go into it. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit in case you are a pagan or a witch who is interested in getting married but don't really want to do the whole traditional church thing, which I totally understand. So, handfasting is a pagan wedding ceremony. Now, there are multiple different types of wedding ceremonies that you can do. So, if you don't like all of the aspects of this sort of ceremony, you can absolutely make it completely unique to you and your personal practice, which is something that I think is really amazing. There's just like a huge emphasis on considering the needs of both parties, so there isn't a set hand fasting necessarily for pagans overall. That being said, if you are being married by a Wiccan, or if you are being married in the Wiccan tradition, you might see a various like regiment, or they might have a set way of doing things. So there is a little bit of a difference depending on your religious background and how you are going to approach that. But if you are like me, who's kind of this non-denominational pagan, I'm going to be working with the officiant to kind of write my own wedding ceremony and have that carried out. So in reality, like what we are going to do, myself and my partner, we're going to go to the court and kind of get the legal stuff taken care of, and then we're going to have like that kind of ceremonial, sort of spiritual or religious ceremony or proceeding, I guess. I feel like I'm saying the word ceremony a lot, but that's what it is. We're gonna have that with our family at a later date. So that's actually going to be happening on Bealtaine. So unlike marriages in the Christian church, as pagans, you can choose the duration of the time that you are bound to the other person, right? So a lot of couples do choose to hand fast themselves, or be hand fasted for a year and a day. So that is tradition, and at the end of that year and the day, they can either commit to that relationship for a longer period of time, 10 years, 25 years, etc., life, if they so choose, while others just choose to kind of skip that and go straight to the whole loving the other person for eternity thing, which is actually what Chris and I are going to be doing. Generally, hand fastings do take place outside instead of inside, though I guess it is kind of dependent on the weather and wherever the venue that the bride chooses. But however, if they are outside, there generally is still a demarcation of a sacred space involved, or perhaps a calling of the quarters prior to the wedding. Now, I have a lot of very religious family members, so I'm not sure how witchy I'm really going to get with it, but there is definitely going to be a lot of verbiage about coming together as equals and coming together in love and, celebrating and honoring that love. Like ceremony, and we will have a pagan person performing this, it's not going to be super heavy on all of those ritualistic elements, simply because like I know it would make my family uncomfortable, and then that anxiety would just be like on me at all times. So we're just gonna not even do that. Now, why is this ceremony called a hand fast? fasting? Like, what does that even mean, and why are we calling it that, right? So the word hand fasting refers to a binding of people's hands with cords. And when the couple is exchanging their vows, it is often they have their hands held together, and the person officiating the event will bind their hands together with a series of ceremonial cords. Now, these cords can range in any sort of color. This is a great time to think about color magic and think about some of those color correspondences. I do have a whole video about that if you guys are interested. I encourage you guys to go through, do your research, and pick colors that, you know, best represent you and your relationship. So for my wedding, we are going to be doing kind of a forest green, a lavender, which is like my favorite herb and color, and then the forest green is his favorite color, and he loves trees. And we'll have silver as well for an accent color. But basically, I picked those colors for tranquility, for grounding, and for stability, as well as calming, dreaming, and like attaining those dreams and stuff like that. So that's kind of why I picked those colors. Also, it's just, those are some of our favorite colors as well. So I felt that that really represented us as a couple. Now, I am going to be going and sourcing some really beautiful textiles for these. I really want them to be special. So I'm going to be like looking for some silk ribbons. You absolutely do not have to do that. There are plenty of very nice ribbons and stuff like that that you can find at any craft store. So if you are a bride on a budget, which I fully understand now, I really get it. But being that we met in the textile industry, I felt it would be good to splurge on some really nice ribbon for our wedding. Anyways, it doesn't really matter, but I am going to be braiding and doing some really beautiful knot magic. I'm also going to include little silver charms that relate to like prosperity, to love, to luck, to all of the things that you might want for a wedding, as well as braiding in some of our hair, so my hair and his, into the actual strands themselves. You absolutely do not need to get that intricate with it. That is absolutely not something that you need to do at all. So don't, you know, I'm just giving you guys some ideas, hopefully, but that is how I'm making those cords. And I don't think I mentioned this before, and I do apologize. Let me just backtrack. Hand fasting is an ancient Celtic kind of tradition. So this is something that has gone back for years and years and years, and it's something that being someone who has a little bit of Scottish, who has some European ancestors, it's something that I wanted to do in order to honor them. You do not have to be a pagan in order to be hand fasted. My partner is not religious or spiritual at all and is kind of going along with all of this for me, which is nice. So if you and your partner are of different faiths, there is no worries there. They can absolutely be married in a pagan wedding ceremony. So that was just an overview. I hope that kind of helps and maybe gave you guys some perspective coming from a witch who's planning a wedding. But yeah, that's hand fasting in a nutshell. And if you are a witch planning a wedding, maybe looking into some familial traditions to weave into this sort of hand fasting ritual ceremony. So that's my little spiel for today. Thanks so much for sticking with me. I'll see you guys in the next one.